All right, welcome back to the GSMC Hockey Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. We're talking about the Rangers-Panthers Game 5 recap as we move on from the Edmonton Oilers. I'd love to remind you guys that if you have any questions that you would like for me to read out loud live on air, you could go ahead and use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. That would put your questions on the screen, and I'll read them out loud live on air. As we go into talking about the New York Rangers versus the Florida Panthers. The Florida Panthers take a 3-2 series lead in this one, and as I mentioned in the previous segment, the team that goes on to take a 3-2 series lead wins the series at an 80% clip. They showed that stat on the broadcast when it was the third period and the Panthers were up, and I think that it is very important to note. Of course, it's a little bit easier for the Rangers to make this comeback than it might have been for the Panthers to make the comeback if the Rangers were to win this one, because you have that Game 7 at home. So you just need to really win that Game 6, and then you're favored in that Game 7 at home for the Rangers. But the series is absolutely coming down to it. We now have a Game 6, as of course was promised to us from that 2-2. Now Panthers are the one that have the Rangers with their backs up against the wall. Very, very impressive stuff from the Florida Panthers in this game. Was able to really control it kind of the entire way. I compared this game to, I don't know if any of my viewers really watch baseball, but in the 2011 NLDS Game 1 between Chris Carpenter and Roy Halladay. These are the two starting pitchers for the Philadelphia Phillies and the St. Louis Cardinals at the time. Chris Carpenter went 9 innings pitched with 0 run ball, and Roy Halladay went 8 innings pitched on 1 earned run ball. And this is kind of what I'm comparing, and trust me, it makes sense here. I'm comparing Igor Shesterkin to Sergei Bobrovsky in this game to that. Chris Carpenter being Sergei Bobrovsky being pretty much perfect the entire way. Roy Halladay being Igor Shesterkin, 8 innings pitched, 1 earned run. What more can you do? And I'm going to say that in this one for Igor Shesterkin, what more do you want this guy to do? He lets in 2 goals on 36 shots. Of course, the Panthers get an empty net goal in this one. That's not against Igor Shesterkin's stat. That's why it is technically 3 goals on 37 shots against. So take out the goal and the shot, and it's 2 goals on 36. For this game, Sergei Bobrovsky is just playing. Just for this series, I mean, what more can I talk about? This Sergei Bobrovsky is playing vintage Sergei Bobrovsky hockey. I haven't seen anything like this since the 2019 playoffs in that sweep against the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's playing lights out, and he played very well last postseason, but nothing to this extent. Going into the game breakdown a little bit, you have Chris Kreider opens the scoring in the second with a shorthanded goal breakaway for the New York Rangers. This was Chris Kreider and Mika Zibanejad combining for a goal. This is these two players' first points of this entire series. A lot of people, a lot of pundits, or a lot of analysts were talking about how these two really need to step it up for the New York Rangers if they want to win the series. And they do in this game and still lose. It's funny how hockey works out in it. Chris Kreider, though, finally breaks through. He helped the New York Rangers beat the Carolina Hurricanes, of course, getting that third period hat trick in Game 6. And now we're seeing him kind of break out in this series. He likes to wait until late in the series to break out. So hopefully for the Rangers in Game 6, he can continue to play good hockey. But it's quickly matched from Gustav Forsling, and this was kind of the sentiment in this game. The Florida Panthers were just kind of quick to match the New York Rangers in anything that they did. The New York Rangers scored, the Panthers got 2 quickly. The Rangers, started playing well on the power play. The Panthers' penalty kill started to step up. The Rangers were starting to enter the zone very impressively, and then the forwards would get a good forecheck and break out of that. It was just back and forth hockey. The Panthers just played kind of one step ahead of the New York Rangers in this game. It was so impressive to see from the Florida Panthers, this team is going up against the juggernaut, right? they're going up against the President's Trophy winner. They're going up against, and of course the Florida Panthers were favored from the Vegas lines going into this series. But I don't think anybody really has the Florida Panthers being a favorite over the New York Rangers. I just think that the Panthers looked really, really good against the Boston Bruins, and the Rangers kind of slipped a bit against the Carolina Hurricanes. That's why I thought those lines were set the way that they were. And now we're kind of seeing that the Panthers are a really, really good hockey team. Going to the Stanley Cup final last year, one game away from going back to it now. So the Florida Panthers are playing some really good hockey, really played good counter hockey in this game. So Gustav Forsling from Sam Bennett and Ekblad ties up this game in the second period, like 5 minutes after that Chris Kreider goal. And then Anton Lundell, a minute after that, scores, puts the Panthers up 2-1. And then it's Sam Bennett on an empty net to get the Panthers at a 3-1 advantage. It is a Alexis Lafreniere goal that cuts the lead with 50 seconds as they still have the empty net. The Rangers really were looking to get they really had to get 2 after that empty net by the Panthers, so unable to do it. And it's in large part from the efforts of Sergei Bobrovsky. He is the first star of the night. Sergei Bobrovsky, 25 saves, 27 shots against, 9.3. It was like a 9.26 save percentage, but rounds up to a 9.3 save percentage. Very, very impressive from Sergei Bobrovsky, shutting it down, lights out hockey. One of these goals came 50 seconds left in the game as well after they were already up 3-1. So little garbage time goal there from Alexis Lafreniere, but it counts on the score sheet just the same. And very, very impressive hockey from Sergei Bobrovsky here. You really gotta, tip your cap to this guy, as he is the reason the Florida Panthers are in the position that they are. I might go as far as to say that. I talked about him being like the Chris Carpenter of the Florida Panthers here. Chris Carpenter is a huge part of that World Series winning Cardinals team in 2011 and in 2006. So Sergei Bobrovsky, very, very impressive hockey that he's playing. Lights out, absolutely. I mean, that's the word that you have to use to describe it. 25 saves on 27 shots against here, and it's not like these were bad shots. The New York Rangers have, by widely considered, the best forward group in the NHL, and Sergei Bobrovsky is shutting that down. I mean, you're rolling 3 lines deep of just some of the best talent in the NHL has to offer. Chris Kreider, Vincent Trocheck, Mika Zibanejad, Alexis Lafreniere, Kaapo Kakko, Alexander Wenberg. I mean, all these great forwards here. And he's just absolutely shutting it down. Chris Kreider and Mika Zibanejad get 2 points in this game. So, I mean, that's huge for the New York Rangers going forward. They're going to need them guys to continue to produce. Hopefully, they can continue to produce for the New York Rangers. But it's really the middle 6 of the Florida Panthers playing so well. We don't see an Alexander Barkov. We don't see a Carter Verhaeghe. We don't see a Matthew Tkachuk on the score sheet here. And the Florida Panthers still win. And it was kind of a comfortable win, as it's a 2-goal lead going into the final 50 seconds. So very, very impressive hockey from the Florida Panthers. They can close out the series now tomorrow night, Saturday night, in that Game 6, going back to Florida as well. I think that's when they kind of have to do it. You don't want to go back to Madison Square Garden for a Game 7. Beating the Rangers in MSG 3 times in a series is, I don't know if that's even possible. I mean, such a hostile environment. Madison Square Garden always is, so the Florida Panthers now 3-2 series lead. We talk about how devastating that definitely is. We're going to talk about how the New York Rangers need to play going into that Game 6 on the road, especially seeing if that they can, if I expect them to win that game. But before we do that, we have 2 segments, and then that 5th segment I'm excited to talk about. We're going to take our second break of the night, and when I come back, we'll be talking about the lack of breaks in the hockey calendar and if it is a problem for these front offices and these players.